History and Folklore presents. But before we dive into this alleged tragedy, we must step back into the political, military, and cultural landscape of 18th century Bengal. Chapter 1. Bengal Before the Storm. India, in 1756, was not a single nation. It was a fragmented subcontinent ruled by emperors, nawabs, and regional kings. In the east, Bengal stood powerful and wealthy under the rule of Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah. Young, passionate, and politically inexperienced, Siraj saw the East India Company as a growing threat to his authority. The British East India Company was no longer content with trade. They were arming themselves, fortifying positions, training troops. At Fort William in Calcutta, the company began building massive defences without the Nawab's consent. To Siraj-ud-Daulah, this was not development, it was defiance, a provocation, a rebellion. Tensions exploded. The Nawab sent envoys to halt construction. The company ignored them. In response, Siraj-ud-Daulah assembled his forces and marched on Calcutta. The siege of Fort William was swift but brutal. Within days, the British stronghold fell. And, in the aftermath, came the night that would be recorded in British history as one of unimaginable horror, the night of the Black Hole. June the 20th, 1756. The British garrison at Fort William had surrendered. As the sun set over a humid Calcutta, over 140 prisoners were forced into a dark, windowless chamber, just 18 by 14 feet in size. No beds, no ventilation, no water. The room meant for 2 or 3 prisoners was crammed with soldiers, civilians, and even a few wounded. The doors shut, and the nightmare began. What happened that night was described in chilling detail by one survivor, John Zephaniah Holwell. According to Holwell, as the heat intensified, panic took hold. Men tore off their clothes. They cried for water. Some lost their minds. The sick suffocated. The weak were trampled. By dawn, only 23 of them remained alive. This, Holwell claimed, was the infamous Black Hole of Calcutta, a name that would echo for generations. Chapter 3. A Story Weaponized. But the story doesn't end there. Historians have long questioned Holwell's account. Was it truth or propaganda? Did 146 prisoners truly enter that cell? Or was the number inflated to fuel revenge, to justify empire? Who was John Zephaniah Holwell? A surgeon, administrator, and East India Company officer. Holwell was among the 23 survivors. Would become not just a witness, but the voice that shaped an entire empire's outrage. Just months after the incident, Holwell published his version of events in London. He claimed 146 went in, 123 died. But there was a problem. No one else documented the event the way he did. Other survivors were curiously silent. No corroborating accounts, no Indian records, no neutral witnesses. Modern historians have asked tough questions. Was the number 146 real? Could such a cell hold that many people? Most controversially, was this tragedy exaggerated to stir British fury and justify retribution? The Black Hole was a powerful piece of Imperial propaganda. Historian Brian K. Gupta. The British public, already suspicious of Indian rulers, found in Holwell's tale a reason for war.
Chapter 4. Clive Strikes Back. In less than a year, Robert Clive would return to Bengal, not for justice, but for empire. It was not just about revenge, it was about dominance. Clive, a man of ambition and cunning, returned in 1757 with a clear agenda: dismantle Siraj-ud-Daulah. Backed by the East India Company, Clive formed a secret alliance with Mir Jafar, Siraj's own general. The deal? Betray your Nawab, and we'll give you the throne. June 23, 1757. The Battle of Plassey. Clive led just 3,000 troops against Siraj's 50,000, but numbers meant nothing when treachery rotted the enemy from within. Mir Jafar stood down. Siraj's army crumbled. The battle ended in hours. Bengal was in British hands. It marked the beginning of nearly 2 centuries of colonial rule. And it all began with a single haunting tale, the Black Hole of Calcutta.
Chapter 5. Truth, or Colonial Myth. It began as a personal account, but in the hands of empire, it became something else entirely. Holwell's story was quickly adopted by British authorities, not as fact, but as fuel. Yet problems remained. Where was the evidence? Why no inquiry, no list of names? Modern historians believe the number was exaggerated. Perhaps fewer than 60 were imprisoned. Indian sources suggest a very different version. Still, in Britain, the tale was accepted without question. It justified conquest. It painted Indian rulers as savage. The Black Hole became not a story of human tragedy, but a legend of imperial righteousness. History is often written by the victors, but when memory becomes a weapon, it ceases to be history. It becomes myth. Chapter 6. Legacy in Stone and Silence. More than 250 years have passed. The prison cell is gone. Fort William rebuilt. In 1760, Holwell erected a memorial, an obelisk to the fallen. But in 1940s, it was removed by Indian nationalists. To many in India, the Black Hole is a colonial myth, used to justify conquest, whitewash aggression. To others, it's a warning of how easily truth can be twisted. There may never be a final answer to what truly happened, but the real power lies in how we choose to remember or forget. History is not only about what happened, it's also about what we choose to believe.